Patrisa is the founder of Pyramid Spiritual Societies movement. Pyramid Valley International is an integral part of PSSM. With a singular objective of promoting meditation, spiritual science, pyramid energy, and vegetarianism. Patrisi started the movement in the year 1990. And to date, millions and millions of people have learned this meditation technique and practicing and then transformed. Over 20,000 pyramids have been established, meditation centers have been established. So, Ansar is always traveling to various countries.
No traveling, all cancelled. All cancelled.
Now, yes, sir. So, in the lockdown, we got the opportunity to meet digitally. So, ask your questions, anybody.
Because every conversation, meaningful conversation, is based upon the dialectic method, which has been used by Socrates, the greatest master Earth has ever seen. Socrates. The method he practiced is the dialectic method, which consists of a question and an answer. A question provokes an answer. A question designs an answer. What is a question? A question is the mind's foremost thought. A question is a mind's foremost problem. A question is a mind's foremost concern. The question solidifies the mind. Your question makes your mind available to me, and my answer makes my mind available to you. This is called as the dialectic method, the question and answer method, followed by in recent years by Ramana Maharshi. Somebody goes to Ramana Maharshi and says, I have come to you, sir. This is my problem. This is my problem, he would say. Immediately Ramana would say, who are you? You say, my problem, who are you? I am Subbarao Swamiji. I am not asking for your name. Who are you? I am coming from Nellore. I am not asking you, where are you coming from? Who are you? So he'll point you down, pin you down. I don't know who I am. Then find out and come. Then we'll see whose problem is that. In the olden days, whatever Socrates followed, in the recent past days, Ramana Maharshi followed. That is called as the dialectic method. That's why I invite always questions. When I react to anybody's question, I am surprised by my own answer, and I come to know about myself, because I am revealed to myself as my answer to somebody's question. This is called a dialectic method. Everybody becomes enlightened. The questioner becomes enlightened. The answerer becomes enlightened by the process. This dialectic method is as important as the meditation Anapanasati itself. Anapanasati, observing the breathing, is the method for Raja Yoga, Dhyana Yoga. The dialectic method is the way for Jnana Yoga. The method of Jnana Yoga. Question and answer. It's a very, very important for spiritual development. This is the way shown by that great master Socrates in those times, and in the recent past times showed by Ramana Maharshi. So today, let us continue that path. That's why I am always available for a question and answer session. A question is a challenge thrown by a mind to another mind. The answer is also a challenge thrown by one mind to another mind. So let us spend very, very valuable time in this process called a dialectic method. The question, the Q&A method.
Okay. First question.
Yes, sir.
Swamiji, what led you to the discovery of this path?
Swamiji, reading books. I read all Plato, all Socrates, all Aristotle.
Is it before or later?
Swamiji, I was interested in reading books right from my childhood. So every book that I read poked me and made me more enthusiastic about this whole knowledge of Jnana Yoga, the theme of Jnana Yoga. It is Jnana Yoga which enchanted me more than Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana came as a fruit for me, for my efforts in Jnana Yoga, in my pursuit of knowledge. Nobody ever questioned me, but I read all the books where all the questions and answers are there. In every book there is a question, there is an answer. Every spiritual book. The disciple has a question, he meets a master. When the disciple is ready, master will appear. So the master answers the disciple's questions. So I have been reading all these disciple and master relationships. So my whole mind is full of these questions and answers that I have read in more than 100,000 books. I am very impressed. Yes.
If already all the answers are there, why again search for these?
Yesterday you had your coffee. Why today morning you are taking again one more coffee? Yesterday is gone.
Yeah.
But today is, yeah, you have to have fresh, in the morning you have to have your coffee again. Swamiji, have you had your coffee?
Not today. Not today. No, I agree.
Yesterday is gone. Yesterday you ate food. But today also you have to eat food.
Yeah.
Yesterday you had read books. But today also you have to read. Today also you have to question the same thing.
So newer discoveries.
Every morning Suryodaya is different. The nature is different. You are different, the nature is different every day. But the same sun looks beautiful, more beautiful. The same wife you are seeing every day. Why today you love your wife? No. Every day is a fresh day. So every day is a fresh question. And every day you must discover a fresh answer. It's a very beautiful process, Swamiji.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, to kickstart that process. So we have Shrikant Atharanam. Shrikant, briefly introduce and then ask your question.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Namaskaram to everybody.
You don't have to ask a question. A question should arise in you. Don't create an artificial question.
Yes, Guruji. My question is, why is every session in meditation a different one? Sometimes after meditation, we feel very, very good throughout the day. But sometimes just to continue 10-15 minutes also becomes a little bit of a headache in the session. But
Swamiji,
always,
meditation is like the moon. Moon changes every day from no moon to full moon. Every night you see the moon, it's not the same moon. It's a different moon. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Similarly, meditation, every day is sometimes more, sometimes less. Don't be bothered about it. A no moon is not a bad phenomena.
right.
And full moon is not an ultimate phenomena. You swing between the no moon and the full moon. So meditation also you swing. Happy to swing that way. Don't be troubled by that swing from no moon to full moon. It is a natural process. You are also a product of the nature, just as much as the moon. So meditation is also a natural process. It will swing from black mood to very bright mood. So be it.
Right.
Don't be worried by the no moon, Baba.
Thanks, Guruji. Thank you.
Understand that everything is a natural process. You are a natural process. Your meditation is a natural process. It will swing between no moon and full moon. Always a pendulum, swimming like this. It will never stay at one place or go at one direction. It will swing always. It is the eternal process of the swing. From Kali Yuga to Kruta Yuga, Kruta Yuga to Kali Yuga, Kali Yuga to Kruta Yuga. It's a swing. We are in the upper Dwapar Yuga now. The swing is always there. Swamiji, you are a swing.
Thank you, Guruji.
When you realize that you are a swing, you are never bothered by anything, by this extreme or that extreme. You know that a full moon is awaiting a no moon. You also know that a no moon is awaiting a full moon. You are enlightened. When you expect a no moon after a full moon, when you are seeing a full moon after no moon, you are an enlightened person. You are not stuck up in either full moon or you are not stuck up either in no moon. You are enlightened, Baba. Swamiji, you are enlightened. Swinging, happily swinging. Between no moon and between no meditation and full meditation. Kabhi खुशी kabhi गम. सिनेमा है ना?
Yes.
वो अमिताभ बच्चन का सिनेमा शायद. कभी खुशी कभी गम. Yes, sir.
Pradeep Bhattacharya, please go ahead. Can you turn on your video?
Yeah. Namaskar, Guruji.
Swamiji,
My
namaskar.
question is,
Namaskar.
When everybody knows that the knowing self is the ultimate aim of human being, or that's the biggest mission human being carries, then why every human being is after material wealth?
Swamiji, there are 4 knowings. First, the knowing of the body, then the knowing of the mind, then the knowing of the intellect, then the knowing of the self comes. A baby, a 2-year-old baby, if that baby is not reading Bhagavad Gita, do you have a complaint against the baby? Tell me.
No.
Why you don't have a complaint? The baby should read Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? No. The baby should only crawl, eat, sleep. She's a baby. You don't have any complaints against the baby. Similarly, there are baby souls, infant souls, child souls, adolescent. So many souls are there. So, knowledge of the body. Many people who are baby souls. They're exploring the body. They want only body's knowledge. Then there are many souls who want to explore the mind. Then there are many souls who are exploring the intellect. They're mature souls. Then they are exploring the Atma, self-consciousness. They are the enlightened ones. The baby souls are there, the adolescent souls are there, the mature souls are there, and the old souls are there. The baby souls they want the knowledge of the body, matter. The adolescent souls want to explore the mind, psychology. That's very intriguing for them. Then the mature souls want intellect. What is truth? What is untruth? Then the old souls want what is the self? What is non-self? So there is pursuit of matter, pursuit of mind, knowledge of matter, knowledge of mind, knowledge of intellect, knowledge of self. So when you become old, you will actually come, what is the purpose of life and death? As a baby, you don't do it. No. You don't like it. As a baby, you want to see a baby as a baby, not as an old bearded fellow. No way. That you will become afterwards.
Thank you.
Whenever you see a baby soul, don't have a complaint against the baby soul. Enjoy the babiness. When you see an adolescent soul, don't have any complaints against the adolescent soul. Enjoy that adolescent soul. The beauty of the adolescence, half child, half adult. That is adolescence. Then you see a mature soul. Enjoy the mature soul. Why? She is not a baby soul. Then you encounter an old soul. Oh, Yaba. Very wise. Socrates, Ramana Maharshi. You enjoy them. They are not baby souls. Today's baby soul is tomorrow's adolescent soul. Today's adolescent is tomorrow's adult soul. Today's adult soul is tomorrow's old soul. See everywhere the soulhood. That is enlightenment, Baba. You are an old soul. You don't have any complaints against anybody, against any baby, against any adolescent, against any adult. You don't have any complaints. You have to see this nature of the soul. Baby souls are there, adolescent souls are there, adult souls are there, old souls are there. Baby souls are plenty, adult souls are a few, old souls are very rare. A Ramana Maharshi is a rare phenomena. A Socrates is a rare phenomena. See, is the soul there? Then there is no problem for you. You don't have any complaints, any regrets, any suggestions for anybody. No. No baby soul will come to meditation. No baby soul will reach Chandra early in the morning. The baby soul wants to sleep up to 10 o'clock. That baby soul will not come to Chandra's session early in the morning. No. There won't be 1 million people early in the morning for Chandra's session. No. A few people will be there. So, there is a shloka in Bhagavad Gita. I would like to mention it. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tatvataha. Let me explain this shloka. Manushyanam sahasreshu means among thousands of men. Kaschid, some people, yatati means they try, siddhaye for perfection. Here in Bhagavad Gita, perfection means to be with the Atma. Okay? Only some old souls are there. And among such, yatatama by siddhanam, among such old people, only 1 or 2 arrive at their full growth, full bloom. Like one Socrates, one Ramana Maharshi. That is the truth. Given the statistics, in any given age, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschid mam veti tatvadhaya. Among thousands of men, some people only try for perfection, try for spirituality, try for enlightenment, Buddhahood. Only among such people, 1 or 2 arrive at Buddhahood. Everything is fair, Baba. Everything is there as it should be. And those people who are coming early morning, 6 o'clock to Chandra session are Ramana Maharshis and Socrates, Buddhas, the rarest of the rare. That is not to deny the greatness of any other person who is sleeping until 10 o'clock in the morning. We are not denying the greatness of any baby soul. We are respecting, doing pranams to every baby soul, every adolescent soul, every adult soul, and every old soul, and every mature soul, every enlightened soul. Namaskars. Yes, sir.
Next we have Pallavi Anumula.
Namaskaram, Patriji. I have one question on karma. We have been hearing since childhood a lot about karma and on whatever we experience in this life is because of our karma. Can you please share your take on karma and will meditation burn our karma? Thank you.
We teach karma to baby souls and adolescent souls. We teach dharma to adult souls. The shift from karma to dharma comes. And we teach old souls, your choice, whatever you want to, you do it. Arjuna was given a suggestion by Krishna, Yatha ichchasi tatha kur. You do whatever you want. You can kill, you can do whatever you want, Baba. You are an old soul. You can do whatever you want. You can run away from the battle. You can run into the battle. See, the teaching is always for the baby souls, including the adult soul, including the adult soul and the old souls. You are an old soul. Nobody will tell you whether you have to attend the Chandra's meditation session or not. No, it is up to your choice. But as a baby soul, we say, hey, don't go into the fire. You will get burned. If you go into the fire, you will be burnt, of course. So, in the beginning, the karma comes. And in the end, no karma, Baba, choice. Every teaching appears controversial. It appears as defective. And appearances are defective. Every teaching appears as something else to everybody else. The teaching is the same, but it appears in different ways to different people. Bhagavad Gita has been interpreted by thousands of people in thousands of ways. The sloka is the same, but it has been given a commentary in thousands of ways. Somebody says it's a pure Bhakti Yoga book. Somebody says it's a pure Karma Yoga book. Somebody says it's a pure Raja Yoga book. Somebody says it's a pure Jnana Yoga book. Which is correct, which is wrong? Every view is correct and every view is equally wrong. Paradoxical truth. So in the higher reaches of consciousness, there is no karma, there is only choice. The choice, there rules even in the beginning also, but we can't see it. It becomes irrelevant for you. You are required, you are told what to do, what not to do. Finally, you are not told anything. You do whatever you want. So it's a very tricky question, ma'am. Don't put me into confusion now.
Thank you for answering it. I appreciate it.
I don't know whether I have answered it or not. That's a paradox.
I'll have to think about it. Definitely. It provokes some thoughts.
Coolly think about it, Baba, for the rest of your lifetime.
Thank you for answering, Patriji.
Yes, Chandra.
Yes, sir. We had a question from somebody.
Thangavelu.
Yes, sir. Thangavelu, sir. Please go ahead.
Namaskar, Swamiji.
Swamiji, namaskaram. Vanakkam.
Vanakkam. What I want to know the difference between these three things, Brahmarshi. What is tabas or tava? Prayer and meditation. Can you explain?
What is the first word?
Tava. Tavam Tamil la sollume. Tava.
Tapassu, sir.
Tapas.
Okay.
And pronounce, yeah.
Prayer and
Okay.
meditation.
Okay. Tavam is Hatha Yogic Prakriya. You don't eat, don't sleep. You stand on one leg. You put one hand always like this. You think that suffering the human body makes enlightened, gives you enlightenment. That is tavam. Decreasing. Tapa means decreasing your wants, physical wants. Decreasing your physical wants, not eating, not sleeping. Buddha did that. Tavam for 5 years. He became extremely thin, about to die. Then one lady gave him one payasam, Sujata. He said, don't do any more tavam, you are going to die if you do any more tavam. You will simply die, Baba, and you will die without realization, which you are asking for. First of all, make your body strong. So she gave some payasam. And Buddha saw the truth. Yes, what is the point in dying like this? He saw the truth in Sujata's madam's teaching. He said, okay, Baba, no tavam. Let me have this payasam. Then he started real meditation. He left tavam. Buddha left tavam. No tavam, Baba. Don't trouble your body. See, your vehicle is the body. But having a body is a vehicle. If the vehicle is not there, what will you travel? If the car is not there, where will you go? You require a car to go from Hyderabad to Chennai. If there is no car, how can you go to Chennai? So, Tavam, Buddha tried for 5.5 years. Then finally he left Tavam by having payasam. One common lady, she gave enlightenment to Buddha. We have to seek common enlightenment, Baba. A small boy can give you a nice, best possible answer to anybody's question. So, no Tavam. But don't overeat. Don't oversleep. Follow the middle path. Give the body a little morsel of food. Don't stuff it until you can't stuff it anymore. And similarly, then the next thing is prayer. Whom are you praying? You have to create something out of your system. You are not to beg anybody. How long will you be happy by being a beggar? Why don't you cultivate the land? Your land is there, you are not cultivating, you want to beg the food. Why don't you cultivate your land? Produce some food. And eat food out of your cultivation. Be a farmer, not be a beggar. A prayer is begging. No. Occasionally it's okay, but not for every day. Be a farmer, produce your own food. That is called a meditation. In meditation there is no prayer and there is no tavam. There is no bodily suffering. Unnecessary suffering. That suffering is unnecessary. Unasked for. Stupid. Buddha realized his own stupidity after 5.5 years. Nobody realizes their own stupidity. It's not enough time to realize our own stupidity, Baba. Buddha went from pillar to post, guru to guru. Somebody said, put your one leg down, one leg up. Somebody said, put your head down, two legs up. All these Hatha Yogi practices he did. 500 gurus. But finally, he said, no tavam. No body consciousness. Have nice payasam. Sujata gave enlightenment. Hey, take care of the body first. Then you can take care of yourself. He had nice payasam. Then he lived and he became enlightened. He used his car well to go from Hyderabad to Chennai. He arrived at Chennai. Oh, there's a big ocean is there in Chennai. In Hyderabad, there's no ocean. So he arrived at Chennai and said, oh, ocean, I have become enlightened. After payasam. So in PSSM, there is no tavam. In PSSM, there is no prayer. In PSSM, only meditation is there. It's up to you. Swamiji, it is up to you. I have explained what is tavam. I have explained what is prayer. I have explained to you what is meditation. It's up to you. Your choice is yours. Whatever you choose, you become that. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. You are an adult soul. You make your own choices. You are not a baby soul. You are an adult soul. You use your intellect well. You have a lot of buddhi with you. You are a great surgeon. Now you use your buddhi to go in whatever way you want.
Swamiji, praying before God is begging.
Swamiji, who is the God? You are the God. In Vedas it is told, Aham Brahmasmi. What is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi? Tell me, you tell me, Swamiji. What is the meaning of Aham Brahmasmi? You tell me now. You educate me. Tattvamasi, you are the God. But Aham Brahmasmi. So what is the meaning of that? You give a commentary to it, these two statements. Aham Brahmasmi and Tattvamasi. You give me a commentary. These are from Vedas. Remember that point. They are called Mahavakyas, greatest statements. Now you give me your commentary on these two statements. Aham Brahmasmi and Tattvamasi. You give me your commentary. Let me see. You can't give me any commentary because you don't know. If I am asked to speak in Tamil, I don't know. I'll become speechless because I don't know Tamil. I can't speak in Tamil because I have never studied Tamil. You have never studied the Vedas. So you can't have any commentary upon Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. Whereas Adi Shankaracharya will speak for one lifetime together on these two statements. You can speak in Tamil. I can't speak in Tamil. So whatever you have learned, only that can come out of your mouth. Other things cannot come out of your mouth. You become speechless. So when you do meditation, you will come to the understanding of Aham Brahmasmi. I am the God. Before that, you can't understand. Somebody else, you think you is the God. Some Rama is Krishna is the God. Some Murugan is the God. If you go to Murugan, Murugan will say, you are the God. Because he knows everything. So he will say, Murugan will say, you go to yourself, Baba. You are the God for yourself. How do you go to yourself? You are through meditation. If your God stands before you and gives the answer, he says, hey, you go to yourself. You are the God. Because that is the realization. You have to study, Swamiji, which you have not studied. It's not to accuse you of anything. You are at a stage of development, which is proper for you. I am at a stage of development, which is proper for me right now. Because of my past efforts, I am at this stage. I have studied everything. All spirituality, from A to Z, from Z to A. So there is no prayer because you are the God. Aham Brahmasmi. I am everything. For you, this statement appears very stupid because you can't speak in Tamil. How can you say you are everything? I don't have to learn Tamil, Baba. Neither do you have to learn Telugu. Swamiji, do you know Telugu?
No, Swamiji, no.
Then do you consider yourself stupid for that? No. Nobody is stupid. Neither you are stupid nor I am stupid. We are all beautiful people. We are all relevant at our stage of life to our own selves. Further expansion will always be there. Swamiji, from my mouth, tavam will never come. From my mouth, prayer will never come. From my mouth, only meditation will come. Any other question?
Yes, sir.
No, Thangavedu sir.
Okay, Thangavedu. Okay, sir. Thangavedu.
Can I ask one more question, Chandraji?
Yes,
Swamiji, you can ask 10 more questions.
We are all talking about this karma theory, Swamiji. And what all happened in the past, it has happened in our past birth and previous births. We do not know. Why should we bother about too much about this karma theory? Whatever we do, we should do good in this present world.
You are right. Forget about past lives, Baba. See, I have not seen, I am in Hyderabad. Chennai is not in front of me. Do you think Chennai is not there? Only I am not seeing Chennai from here, Hyderabad. That doesn't mean that Chennai doesn't exist. You can remember the past. You can come and forget about the past. Both are equally good choices for you. If you want to know the past, if you want to know your past incarnation, you must do meditation. If you don't want to care for the past, it's very, very good. Live currently very beautifully. Who asked you to not to live perfectly in the current moment? Don't eat the meat. Current things, look after. Forget about the past. You don't have to worry about the past at all. Who asked you to worry about the past? See, why we are knowing about Akbar and Jahangir and Shah Jahan? Why are we reading history books? Who cares for the past? But there is a history department is there. Who is Akbar? Who is Akbar's son? Who is his son's son? Why should we read all those things? Why should we read? You tell me. Why should there be a history department in every school? A subject of history. You tell me now. I'm putting a question to you. Why should you read all this history? Tell me.
This is to know about our culture, our history of our country, and what was happening in the past in our country. All those things,
Similarly, this is to know your past. This is to know your past. You come from holy times. You are not just the product of this body, Baba. This body is the product of yourself. You have got it all reversed. All you are scientists now. You are all great scientists. You get everything in the reverse way. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna, Bahuni me vetitani janmani tava charjuna. Tanyaham veda sarvani natam veta parantapa. This is from Bhagavad Gita. What is the meaning of this shloka? Bahuni me vetitani janmani tava charjuna. Hey Arjun, you yourself and myself, we have spent many lifetimes. Bahuni means many times. Vyatitani we have spent. Bahuni janmani vyatitani. And Tanyaham Veda Sarvam. All those lifetimes I know everything. You don't know anything. This is a shloka from Krishna. Why did it say the statement? You tell me now. In Bhagavad Gita, why is there the statement? Krishna said, okay, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna. Tanyaham Veda Sarvani. Natam Veta Parantam. All those lifetimes I know, yourself and myself. But you don't know anything. Why that shloka in Bhagavad Gita? Swamiji, do you read Bhagavad Gita?
No, sir, no, Swamiji. I don't. I haven't.
It is not relevant for you, isn't it?
No, I don't say like that. Somehow I didn't read. That's all.
Fortunately and unfortunately, I have read that. That is the point, problem. What to do?
You are very fortunate, Swamiji. That's why you are Brahma Rishi.
There is no fortune, Swami. It's all hard work. I am not a surgeon, and you are not a Brahmarshi. You are a surgeon. You are a hard work, and my Brahmarshi-ness is my hard work. There is no fortune here. It's not a lucky thing to have. It is a hard effort, result of hard effort in that direction. When I came out of my school, I didn't get a seat in medical college, so I wanted to commit suicide. But you have become a great surgeon.
Probably, if I had not joined medical college, I would have become like a spiritual guru like you.
And if I had become a doctor, I would have become like you, Swamiji. Yeah. So who is correct, who is wrong? Nobody is correct, nobody is wrong. Okay? You are right in your station, I am right in my station. Both are equally right. This is the paradox. Both are equally great. This is the paradox. We live in a paradoxical world, Swamiji. Next question.
If everything is based upon our destiny, then why should we plan, we should work, we should worry too much and do all those stuffs, Swamiji?
Swamiji, you can stay like Ramana Maharshi. Why don't you go up a hill and stay like Ramana Maharshi? If you understand this, your own question well, why are you doing all these things? You try to understand your own question. Then you will become automatically, immediately Ramana Maharshi. There is nothing to do. There is nothing to do. Because you are already that. Tattvamasi, you are already a God. So what is there for you, a God, to do? So simply stop everything, whatever you are doing. If you understand your own question, you will immediately do that. But you don't understand your own question. That is the problem. The questioner does not understand his own question. That is a great paradox again. You put a beautiful question. I understand that question. Now you follow up on your own question. Climb a hill and sit like Ramana Maharshi. Ramana Maharshi did that. Why can't you do that? He realized that there is nothing else to do. He became silent. No need to talk. No need to interact with anybody. The whole world went to him. Because he is the one person who is doing nothing. Who is thinking nothing, who is doing nothing, who is speaking nothing. He lived in nothing. Why don't you do that? If you understand your own question. but you don't understand your own question. That is the problem with you.
No, I understood, Swamiji, but that's why I'm asking. Everything is is going to happen based upon destiny. And why should we do all these things? That's what.
I am agreeing with your question, Baba. I am agreeing with your question.
You should treat me like a child. Like a child, I am asking you to get some sort of clarifications.
I am agreeing with you, Swamiji. I am not contradicting you. I am not contradicting you. I am agreeing with you. Am I contradicting you?
No, absolutely.
I am agreeing with you. You are right, I said. There is no destiny. You can do whatever you want. Nothing is prefixed. You can do whatever you want. Today, you can eat your food, or today you can go into Upavasam. It's up to you. If you eat food, something will be your result. If you don't eat food, something else will be your result. It's up to you, Swamiji. You are right. I agree with you. Realizing the greatness of your question, I cancel my answer. And I bow down to you. You are right. Now go along with yourself, with your own realization, with your own question, the profoundness of your own question. Go with your own self, Baba. For your question itself is your answer. The whole nature agrees with you. Such a question. What is there to do? There nothing is there to do. What is there to speak? There nothing is there to speak. What is there to think? What is there to question? There nothing is there to question. So live in that nothing. That is nirvana. Living in nothingness is nirvana. So Swamiji, now you don't have an option to put any other question. Now the question is dead. Because if there is no answer for this question, how can there be another question and another answer? Everything has ended for you permanently. From today onwards, you can never open your mouth. You can never put any question to anybody because you will stick by your own present knowledge, present question. For the rest of your lifetime, you cannot open your mouth because there is nothing else to open. I'm sorry, Swamiji, you locked yourself. You have muted yourself. I can't unmute you. By your question, you have muted yourself. You are on the path of becoming a Ramana Maharshi. I am sure of that because your question leads you to a Ramana Maharshi. I am going down to another Ramana Maharshi in the making. There is nothing for you to do. There is nothing for you to talk. There is nothing for you to think. No thinking, no talking, no doing. You are a Ramana Maharshi, Swamiji.
Oh, I am an ordinary human being, Swamiji, and I have come for a purpose, and I am doing that sincerely.
Don't do anything anymore. Now you are done with. You are done with.
Then I come to you. I will come to you and follow you.
Swamiji, nice to speak to you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
It is such questions which give a kick to me. I am sure my answers are giving a kick to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chandra.
Okay, sir. That's wonderful. Wonderful wisdom is flowing there. Thank you. So many are getting answered for me. Nilima Nalam. Would you still want to ask a question, Nilima? Or you got answers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Namaste, Patriji.
Namaskar.
I wanted to know what is free will. We often hear this word free will. Okay, how do we exercise free will?
Madam, you don't exercise. It is your nature. See, I have a hand and I can do some exercise with the hand. I have a hand is my nature. To do something with the hand is exercise. Having a free will is your nature, the fundamental nature of the soul. The fundamental nature of the soul is free will. Fundamentally, I have got hands. But then it is my choice whether to exercise my hands, have some muscles or not. To have my muscles or not, to do exercise or not is my choice. But hands, I have my hands. Naturally, I am born with hands. I have not developed hands. I am born with hands. But I can develop muscles. That is my free choice. Free will is your nature, soul's nature. See, when you are in the higher worlds, the choice is there for you to come into the earth plane or not. It's up to you. You chose it out of your own free will. If you are against earth life, you would not have come here. Everybody who is on the earth planet has chosen that earth planet life. Whatever you choose, that becomes your destiny. When I choose exercise, muscles become my destiny. If I don't choose exercise, muscles will not be my destiny. If you choose the earth life, you will come into earth life. If you don't choose an earth life, you won't come here. Every soul is a free will soul. The free will nature is intact, is involved in every nature, every soul. No soul guides no other souls. Okay, every soul is guided by its own free will. Whatever you want to do, you do it. Yatha ichchasi tata kuru. That is the final statement in Bhagavad Gita. Yatha ichchasi tata kuru. You do whatever you want to do, Arjun. I am not saying anything to you. I am not suggesting anything to you. I am explaining a subject, but I am not suggesting to you anything. You use your free will. Yatha ichchasi tata kuru. Final statement from Bhagavad Gita. That is the nature of the soul. Gandhiji rebelled against the British people. That is his nature. Many people became slaves to British people. Their nature. The whole India became slave. Well, Gandhi said, no slavery. I want to become Indian. Quit India, he said. For that, he went into jail also. But he said, quit India. You get out from India. Out of his free will. And many people didn't open their mouth out of their free will. We all exercise our free will all the time. All the time. Because we are free will. Our nature is free will. You can exercise your free will in any way. You can exercise your hands in any way. You can do exercise or not exercise. It's free will choice. You can come to Chandra's session or not. It's up to free will choice. Early morning, why did you come? Who made you come here? Ma'am, why did you come here?
So
Why?
I kind of started, enjoying the whole journey, sir.
That's what it is. People who want to enjoy the earth visit, they come to the earth. People who don't like the earth, they don't come here. They are never born here. You are not born because of your mom. You entered your mom's womb of your own free will. Mom did not create you. You created a mom here. The mom did not create you. You wanted a mom, you come here, then you get a mom. The mom's womb did not create you. You are not a body, you are a soul. When you understand this truth, then you understand everything. Otherwise, you are always in suffering. My mom created me. My mom should not have created me. My mom, why did she bring me up like this? All these questions would arise out of your ignorance. When you know the spiritual truth, the ignorance is gone. The dukkha, suffering is gone. You are a happy person. Are you happy for attending this morning session?
Definitely, sir.
Then can
This
you
is
do
opening
it?
up a new world for me.
Yes. We all have to thank Chandra for this.
And I thank you, sir. And Karthikeyanji and many of them who've been really taking a message to everybody that they know.
Karthikeyanji, how is the thing going today morning?
This is beautiful dialectical dialogue. You've given the example, an illustration of what is dialectical dialogue.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting and very interesting questions and more enlightening answers. And the credit should go to the questions also. Unless the provocative questions were there, the wisdom of you would not have come out.
It cannot happen, Baba.
Yeah, beautiful. It was beautiful dialogue. Very nice today. Yes, Chandra, many people are raising hands. Time is running out.
Yes, sir. Shalini, who is next? We said
Six are raising hands.
Mridula. Yeah, can you unmute Mridula? Have you unmuted?
Yes, sir. Mridula, you can please go ahead.
Where are you from, ma'am?
Do you remember me from Dallas, the physician?
Okay, I think so.
Met you at Divya's house.
Okay, okay.
House. We had a long conversation.
Okay, Baba, please proceed.
We had a long conversation in Divya's house in Dallas. I'm a physician in internal medicine, but I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Personal questions.
Yes.
So when you're stressed, when you have a bad day, how do you quiet your mind? Do you use silent meditation? Do you use music meditation? Do you use guided meditation?
For me, I read Bhagavad Gita or Socrates or Ramana Maharshi. I read to calm my mind. That is my solution for myself. I go into a book. And access the wisdom of others. Whenever I am troubled, I go into a book. And I am never troubled, for your information.
Yeah. Just in case for us who get troubled and, have a little bit of stress, wondering what...
Then go and read Autobiography of a Yogi or Swami Rama's Living with the Himalayas. Read any book, spiritual book, Bhaga, you will become de-stressed.
Yeah.
Go and read any book, any 1-2 pages, you will become de-stressed, because all spirituality is about de-stressing. Any book. Use your...
So when are you coming back to Dallas?
I don't know. Not this year. Next year I may be.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you. Very nice to talk to you and see you, Patriji.
Your message to all our people here. You give your message.
I really, really enjoy listening to Chandra and Saroja Gulapelli. I have been doing my practice from home because of the COVID. So in between my calls and the patients, I have been listening and listening and listening and learning and learning. And I tell you, Chandra and Saroja and so many masters, wonderful teachers. And to be honest, I joined meditation. I started meditation because of you about 7-8 years ago. There was somebody from Minneapolis. Do you know Satya?
Yes.
Yeah. So they used to do FaceTime with me. And I actually talked to you on FaceTime a long time ago. But yes, I met you last year in Dallas. Yeah. But because of you, I started this nice adventure. And it gives me a lot of peace. I had back pain, and it actually helped with my back pain. I have knee pain. So there's a lot of things that it really helps. It helps my day-to-day life. So I'm also trying to encourage other people, other physicians that are working with me and other sometimes patients to do this.
90% of patients they have their disease through the psychosomatic.
Yeah.
So 90% of the answers, medicine is only psychosomatic medicine, psychosomatic treatment, not somatic treatment. 90% of the diseases are psychosomatic. So 90% of the treatments are also psychosomatic.
Yeah, there was, Sadhguru did some interviews with the physicians and they're doing research and, for depression, anxiety, cholesterol, diabetes, all the autoimmune disorders, all these are nicely lowered by just 8 weeks of meditation.
Because they are all psychosomatic in origin. The cure is also psychosomatic. The origin is psychosomatic. The healing is also psychosomatic, not purely somatic. No way. All doctors are chasing a wrong goose.
Well, when I was I too like to read a lot, and when I was reading about the ancient India, all the yogis, I don't think they used to meditate a lot. They didn't have, they lived for a long time. They didn't have any disease.
I'll give you an example of a yogi. Can I give you?
Yes.
It happened about 150 years back in India, in the British India times. Somewhere in the North India, one British fellow was there, commandant. He was heckling at Indian culture. Hey, what is this yoga and all those things? Then somebody in his area, he told, hey, there is a yogi in the other side of the city. He said, yogi? I don't believe in the yogis. It's all stupid nonsense. The British officers, they're totally arrogant. So they brought that yogi. Then the British commander said, hey, are you a yogi? Ha ha ha. He said, the answer was, yes, sir, I am a yogi. Then you know what that British officer did? It actually happened. He took his sword and cut his hand. And the hand fell like this. You know what the yogi did? He took the hand from the other hand and attached it and went up. He said, did namaskar, I am a yogi. He went away. This has really happened. This is documented.
I can believe it.
India,
there are a lot of things we don't know. We have to learn.
Yes, yes. See, the hand was cut. And with the other hand, he took the hand, attached it, with the both hands, he said, did namaskar, Swamiji, I am a yogi. He said, went up. What can you do with that fellow?
Yeah, I can believe that. Well, when I grow up, I'm 56.
I'll give you one more example.
Okay.
In South India, there was a great master called Raghavendra Swami near Mantralayam. Okay. About 200 kilometers from Hyderabad city. Hyderabad was being ruled by Nizam in those days. So Nizam heard about the Raghavendra Swami. Oh, he's a great Swami. You invite him. I want to honor him. Then he invited Raghavendra Swami to Hyderabad city. In the whole the palace, the Nawab was there, all the people were there. So Raghavendra Swami entered the palace in Hyderabad. So he was given on a big plate. He put all meat pieces, and covered with a nice cloth. He offered that plate to the Swami. All meat pieces are there. Then Raghavendra Swami coolly swallowing and removed the cover. There was only fruits were there. There was no meat.
Mm-hmm.
So that is spirituality, man. That is India. That is yoga. Where is the science? Namaskar to all your scientists, great scientists.
Thank you, Patriji.
Tomorrow you are going to become a yogi, great yogi.
I want to, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want to learn. I want to be as learned as you. That's my goal in life.
You have a right goal in your life, madam. I appreciate and admire your goal.
Thank you, and God bless you.
I am the God. I have to bless myself. Again, don't use those words.
Yeah.
Don't use those words.
Let your spirit bless you.
Huh?
Let your spirit bless you.
Nobody blesses me. I bless myself, Baba.
Your spirit, your own spirit.
There is no your own spirit. You are the spirit.
That's what I'm saying. Your own spirit. Be blessed.
No, not pleasing words. You have spoken very wisely until the last word.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You cut off your last word.
Okay.
That is an American disease. That is American disease. God bless you. American disease.
Yeah.
May God bless you. It is totally American. which is absolutely.
It's out of habit. See
Yes.
how much I have to learn? I have
Yes,
to learn.
yes.
Yes.
May God bless you. May God bless you.
Take care.
Take care. What is it? Take care. Who will not take care of their own selves? What is this? Usual American stupidity. Take care.
These are the words I grew up with. So what can't, that's what I'm saying. I'm learning.
Stupid America. Stupid America. Take care. Take care. May God bless you. Stupid America.
So what would you say? What would you say to end this? What would you say to end our conversation?
Namaskaram. That's all. I and you are one.
Namaste?
Namaskara means I and you are one. That's all. That is the end. That is the beginning. That is the end. Namaskar in the beginning. Namaskar in the end. Namaskara means I and you are one. That is Namaskar.
Okay, then Namaste, Patriji.
Now you are right. Now you are right.
Okay. Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Chandra.
Thank you, Mridulaji. Thank you so much. It's great.
Hello, Patriji. This is Abhirami here. So I do have three more questions. First of all, I would like to thank you for coming and guiding us. So my first question is based on your initial answer, the God is there is no God. Then I always believe our ancestors, they have built so many temples and there are so many energy and vibrations around those temples. Then why did they build that? Then why did they enforce everybody, our generations, all the generations, even oncoming generations, we insist them, pray God, pray God.
I don't know why all those people did. You are go and ask them. Go and ask your ancestors what they did. You don't ask me. They did what they want to do. You do what you want to do. I do what I want to do. I don't go to any temple and to do meditation. I don't go to any temple. For me, there is no other temple other than my body. You go to temples if you want to follow your ancestors. And if you have a question, go and ask them. Don't put me a question what the ancestors did not do. You put me a question directly to me. Continue.
Yeah. My another question is based on Thangavel sir's question. So when we say we don't want to do anything, just be conscious, do not think of anything. So in that scenario, then why do we need to learn? What is the purpose of life?
There is no purpose of life other than what you give meaning to it. The purpose of life of Ravana was to snatch everything from everybody. The purpose of life for Rama was to give everything to everybody. It's up to you. You define your life. You give value to your life. Life itself says nothing to you. Whatever you want to make it of it, you make it of it. It is up to you to create a meaning out of your life. You create your own meaning, whether you want to be like Ravana or Rama, it's up to you.
So for me, if I want to move from baby soul to an matured soul or whatever intermediate soul, if I want to move there, then I need to define certain values, right? So for that, we need guidance from people, those who already know that and reached it, right?
Do you think today's baby soul will become tomorrow's adult soul?
No.
Can it happen in one day? No. It's a natural growth, Baba. It takes lifetimes and lifetimes from a baby soul to become an infinite soul. From an infant soul to become an infinite. Lifetimes and lifetimes. It's a natural growth. You can't force it. The baby wants to be a baby, not an adult soul. So you be what you are. And naturally you will flow to the ocean. Every river will go to the ocean. Every baby soul will become an infant soul, Baba. Do what is the proper in your stage of your life. Imitating others is paradharma. Being with yourself is your swadharma. Swadharma is much, much more important than copying some other's dharma. No, you follow your dharma.
how do I know which is my dharma?
Your heart will always tell you what to do, what not to do. An elephant will never eat a meat. And a tiger will never eat grass. How do they know? How do they know? If they can know their Swadharma, how can you not know your Swadharma? You are already knowing your Swadharma. Because of knowing your Swadharma, you came here early in the morning. Because you have already known your Swadharma. Yes, I want to go to Chandra's session early in the morning. That's why you are here. You know it. Everybody's heart tells you. Tells everybody what is Swadharma. You know what Duryodhana said? Janami dharmaha nachame pravrittihi. Janami adharmaha nachame nivrittihi. These are the statements of Duryodhana. It means, I know what is dharma and adharma. I don't want to follow dharma. I want to follow only adharma. This is what my heart says. So he is following whatever his heart says. That is his Swadharma. He knows what he wants. How does he know? Heart. Everybody has got a heart. And the heart will always tell everybody, hey, you do this, you don't do that. Which is proper for at that stage of life. Who doesn't have a heart? Who doesn't have an inner voice? No. I am here because of my heart's call. Chandra is doing because his heart's call. And you are here because of your heart's call. And somebody else is not here because of their heart's call. Hey, who cares for Chandra? I don't care for meditation. His heart's call is that. Everybody is always listening to the heart's call. To do or not to do. It's not at all $1 million question for the heart. It's $1 million question for the mind. But the heart says, hey, do this, don't do this. To do or not to do is not at all $1 million question for the heart. It is only $1 million question for the mind. Mind is different from heart. You are stuck up with the mind and you are unstuck with the heart. Everybody's life is swinging in between the mind and the heart. For the mind, everything is $1 million question. For heart, nothing is $1 million question. Not even a $1 question. Thank you, Baba.
Thank you, Patriji. But only one more question. So when I say mind and heart, how do I differentiate what is my mind telling and what is my heart saying? How can I differentiate that?
It is difficult to differentiate. So you should do a lot of Sajjana Sangatya for that. If you do Durjana Sangatya, you will flow with the mind. If you do Sajjana Sangatya, you will flow with the heart. Your friends and your books that you choose, they create you. What kind of friends you are having, what kinds of books you are reading. If you are reading wrong books and wrong friends, you are always stuck up in the mind. If you are going with the right books and right friends, you are always going with the heart. It's up to you. You give me your books that you are reading and the friends that you are keeping. Then I know you. Whether you are stuck up in the mind or flowing with the heart. I know you. But since you are here in the morning and you are putting this question, I know that you are flowing with your heart. You are not flowing with your mind. I know that because of what I'm seeing you right now.
Thank you, Patriji. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shalini?
Next we have Mr. Kannan.
Hello.
Swamiji,
Please go
namaskar.
ahead, sir.
Dear Patriji, namaskar.
Yes, sir.
Can you share your meditation experience? What motivated you? And what are the hurdles you faced? You told you did a lot of hard work. So, I mean, it is if you can share your experience, it will be helpful for all of us, I believe. Because we also face hardships when we start meditating, and I would like to understand how you overcome, which can be helpful for us.
I did my meditation when I came to know about meditation. I never did any meditation because earlier I didn't know what was meditation. But as I came to know about meditation in the year 1976, I started my meditation. I started closing my eyes and observing my breath for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It continued for about 3 hours, 3 years. Not much was happening to me as it was happening to others. For others, astral body travel was happening, third eye happening, seeing past lives was happening, but nothing was happening to me. But I continued my meditation because I knew that other than meditation, nothing else is there. And after about 3 years, somebody told me, a meditator whom I taught meditation, he told me that, Swamiji, you are not going to get any experience because you already crossed all your experiences in your past lives. Nothing is repeated again. Then it convinced me that, okay, I'm not going to get astral travel or causal travel or third eye operation, which was happening to everybody else, but nothing happened to me. But I was convinced with the answer that I must have completed all these courses in my past life. So, because I can explain to everybody what is meditation, but I don't have those experiences per se. So, I am more of a Jnana Yogi about meditation. I am not a yogi like Lobsang Rampa or Yogananda Paramahamsa in that mold. No. But I can answer every question in meditation because as it is obvious, see, Balamurali Krishna was singing at the age of 5. Kacheris he was giving. Where did he learn music? Mozart was giving concerts at the age of 4. So where did he learn his music? It comes from past lives. For me also, everything comes from my past lives. In my past lives, I must have been a great meditator. So this time, only 3 years of no meditation or simple meditation was enough for me. Then I became enlightened. I know all the answers. More through reading my books and answering everybody's questions. Impromptu. I can guide everybody into meditation. I've been guiding everybody into meditation of the whole world. But I don't have any personal experiences like Lobsang Rampa. I have learned from Lobsang Rampa by reading his books. It's like this, I can give you an answer. See, the American scientists, they put some people, they trained some astronauts to go to the moon. Those astronauts went to the moon and came back. Did the scientist go to the moon?
No.
But he knows everything about the moon. He can put astronauts and he can make them go to the moon and come back. They did not go. So I am like that. I am those NASA scientists. I can guide people into meditation, but I am not a meditator myself. You got me?
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Namaskar, Baba.
Namaskar.
I have not gone to the moon personally, like the NASA scientists, but I can put many people. I have put many people to go to the moon and come back.
Yeah, a lot of people got motivated by you.
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji. That is my job. My job is that of a NASA scientist.
Okay.
Yes, Chandra. The time is over or no?
Yes, sir. We are at 8:15. They've passed 15 minutes past. So maybe we'll take one, whatever you say, sir. I think we still have people.
Okay. One more question.
One more question.
Swaru Max, can you please go ahead?
Okay, Namaskaram Patriji and Namaskaram Chandra sir. I started a meditation recently with the Chandra sir sessions, and I'm really motivated.
Where are you from?
I'm from
Yes.
Alabama. Yeah.
We lost you, madam. We lost you. To repeat again.
I'm from Alabama, Birmingham, USA, America.
Okay. Carry on.
Yeah, so I started meditation along with Chandra sir's session recently, and I'm really motivated and influenced by his sessions, and I'm learning a lot of things, and I'm really spiritually motivated as always. And I'm trying to experiment whatever we all learn in the classes. And I couldn't sleep yesterday, and I thought, okay, it's okay as a meditator because there's a evening session, younger sessions. I joined my daughter, and I ended up listening that, and I woke up at 5 and started meditation. So I couldn't sleep. As a result, I was sleeping in this meditation today. So is that and I couldn't experience anything like emptiness, and I was like, is it a napping? Am I napping or am I?
It doesn't matter whatever happens. You can sleep well in meditation. It is called yoga nidra. That's very good. That is 3 times more powerful nidra. Sleep. So if you are napping, taking a nice sleep in yoga, that's very, very fine. Don't have any guilt.
Okay, but is this is going to be settled down and I'll be like habituated? I was never a morning person actually, but since I learned a lot of things about meditation, then I thought, okay, it's okay, whatever I like, I can do with the meditation. So I started getting up early. So maybe as a result, I don't have good sleeping in the night. So do you think as I move forward, it's going to be like my regular schedule?
Madam, as you move forward, you will always become a Buddha. Everybody's destiny is to become like a Buddha. Everybody is on the road to become a Buddha. You will also become a great Buddha. Certainly. No doubt in that.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really influenced with this meditation. It was there, but I never experimented. But Chandra sir is really, really a great teacher. And I go and I read all the materials that he provides. And I'm also telling my parents, they never did and they never influenced by anything. But I said, like, I change, so you can change. And she always says she gets her blood pressure because of the family member, the in-laws or whoever came, because since then only her started. So I told her, yeah, so since you got these diabetic and all because of the stress, so you can relieve from that if you can meditate and you can come back to the normal state. So that's what I've been influencing them. So hopefully they start and get benefits out of it.
Not hopefully, certainly.
Yes, sir.
Everything is mathematics. Everything is mathematics.
Right.
2 plus 2 will not become hopefully 4. 2 plus 2 will certainly be 4. Don't use the word,
definitely. Yeah, 100% right.
Don't use the word hopefully. Certainly. Science is certainty.
Correct.
Spiritual science
right.
is
I agree
certainty.
with you. I agree with you. Yeah. I'm witnessing a lot of things. Like I'm like calming down, and I always never thought that I would be like a morning person. I said, like, yeah, I'm never gonna get up in the morning. My body needs more sleep, so I can't get up. But since I'm learning a lot, then I thought, like, yeah, however I want, I can change it, and nothing is impossible.
You are right. I am certain about you are being right. I am not hopeful that you are right. I am certain that you are right.
Okay, sir. So I think we come to the end then. So we can close the session. So anything from you, sir, or Karthikeyan, sir?
I want to listen to Karthikeyan now.
Yes, sir.
So it's a beautiful morning. Thank you very much for your appearance and then answering all the questions. Interesting questions and more interesting and enlightening answers from the heart. Immensely benefited. Thank you very much. It's such a joy always to see you, listen to you. Thank you very much. And you have come from Kanpur all the way. So I wanted to go back to Hyderabad and we'll go back to Delhi. And looking forward to seeing you again very soon. These appearances are beautiful. Thanks very much. Thank you, Chandra. He is doing a great job, Swamiji. I want to tell you.
I get to listen to everybody. Everybody is so very happy.
No, that's why we want others to. We are not new. We are not old souls, but we are also not new souls. But anyhow, we give an opportunity to everybody else that the question and answers both are enlightening and they are immensely benefited. Grateful to you, grateful to Chandra, and because the way he is conducting it is making us all wake up in the morning and come and sit here. Thank you very much again for creating people like Chandra. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Chandra, your words.
Thank you, sir. Whatever I am, I've learned and continuously learning from Patri sir. Patri sir is always challenging. He said multiple times today, the spirituality is living with the paradoxes, always challenging with various things, and then that's how I've been learning. And once when he was in the night, when we were working, I asked him, sir, you work relentlessly and your calendar is so full and then you're traveling all the time. And he said, Chandra, I work as if tomorrow does not exist. I'm just working, today is the day. So that's why whatever is most important, I do it, but then I do it in a way that 20 years later, 30 years later, I look back and say, okay, I shouldn't have done that. The word shouldn't have never there. So I just live it as if tomorrow is not there. And that has inspired me more to do and to study and then do the self-study while we are perfectly living in life. And so thank you so much, sir. This is deep spirituality. I know as a corporate course, intentionally to an extent, I stayed away. And then I also told the team leaders to be more with the work environment while we are the closest that we are getting to is the emptiness and energy. And Patriji just gave everything that is there beyond that energy, what's there in the various forms of the souls and deep spiritual stuff. So which is something that I know some of you are reading in the books that we have recommended. And so thank you so much, sir. This is just adds beautiful knowledge and energy to the sessions for the next 3 weeks that for us to go forward.
Thank you, Baba.
And thank you all. And we have tomorrow a leader session where we have a senior executive from one of the oil and gas companies, Saroja Golapalli, that we heard from Mrudula, that she's joining us as a leader, business leader. And then she'll share her wisdom tomorrow after meditation. So we'll meet you all at 6 a.m. India time again. Thank you all. Thank you, sir, Patri sir, once again.
Thank you, Baba.